So this is something I want to do, and I think would be like a fun community exercise to do. I want to spend some time on stream, and I've actually been building some tools out, and I'll working on some things, but I want to go over and I want us to like community design Classic Plus on stream. Okay, I think it'd be a fun thing to do. I think it'd be interesting to go through and kind of talk about what you'd want to see in Classic Plus. What is Classic Plus? And there's like a lot of things that like Classic Plus is just like a random name that, you know, we kind of made up as a community, right? Classic Plus is just like a name kind of made up as a community of, okay, take vanilla WoW and then plus, right? But what does that mean? And it means something completely different to everybody, right? It has an entirely different definition to any single person that you ask. For me, what Classic Plus is imagine you take vanilla WoW and it's like, what if vanilla WoW had never ended? And what is vanilla WoW? What is classic? What is vanilla WoW? You know, say Classic Plus. Well, classic is like, you know, anything that's old, right? Classic is vanilla. Classic is up to Wrath of the Lich King. Everybody has a different definition. But I think if you're talking about a Classic Plus at level 60, what if level 60 had never ended? And the design principles of what like that vanilla WoW to Burning Crusade kind of era is.
My guild from server Night Slayer wants to go Horde for plus, and I hope Blood Elves are in plus so I can play a Pally, and I love Holy.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, my thought process behind a Classic Plus is, like I said, kind of that vanilla to Burning Crusade era, like maybe like the Burning Crusade pre-patch, but the portal had never opened. What if the Dark Portal had never opened? What if you never go to Outland? That's kind of the way that I see it, right? And like, there's a lot of good ideas that have come about from the community and like from other like private servers and stuff. People really like some of the things that Turtle WoW did. I've taken a look at it, and I think that it's good to look at all these things, and I really hope that that's what Blizzard does. And like looks at all the things and like takes the ideas and finds out like, hey, this works. Why? Why does this work? I don't think it's good to listen to people directly. So as a developer, as a game dev, I don't think your job as a game developer, people a lot of times talk about how Blizzard doesn't listen to feedback. You know, they don't listen to the players, yada, yada. My opinion is I think they listen to the players too much. I think that a lot of game devs these days, especially new age Blizzard, I think they listen too much to the players. Wait, what the heck? What's my... Get out of here. Spam the White Hordos. I didn't realize I was back there. Anyway, I think they listen to the players too much. And I think that a lot of people... I don't think there's a lot of people that are really like informed enough to make like a proper sort of like to have like a legitimate discussion about what Classic WoW is. And whenever I say they listen to the players too much, specifically what I'm talking about is I think that they go through and they see feedback, they take feedback, and they apply feedback. And your job as a game developer is not to do that. Your job as a game developer is to take the feedback and translate it into something that makes sense. Because a lot of times a player will experience something and they'll be like, I hate this. Or they might do something. There might be some player behavior that occurs. But your job isn't to go put a Band-Aid on it and fix it. Your job is to go and at its core, figure it out. If you have an injury, let's say somebody tears their knee, you don't have, you know, they don't just give it surgery and, you know, boom, it's fixed. You got to do physical therapy. You have to work on it. You have to do exercises to build it back up, right? You have to go and at its core, you have to build it from the base back up. And I think a lot of times with what we've seen with retail WoW over the years is they go out there and they just kind of throw something and they're like, hey, you know, this will work, right? Hey, this fixes this problem. Instead of seeing that, hey, we made a big mistake and we need to go back and kind of fix this whole sort of design from the bottom up. And whenever they don't do that, part of it's because they can't, and it's like too far gone, certain things. And like a good example of this is like stat squishes, right? Like the Band-Aid fix for a stat squish is, well, the issue is the numbers are too big. Numbers get too big whenever you're looking at damage numbers, health numbers, whatever. And then the eyes and the mind, the player, it's just harder to comprehend. Like, why work with big number when small number do trick, right? So what they do is they just throw a Band-Aid on it. Time for a stat squish. And now that's kind of what you have to do. But that's kind of like the easy to understand explanation of what I'm talking about. Whereas in a perfect world, the power creep and the scaling and everything in the game would have been designed. Now, again, this is very idealistic, but in a perfect world, it would have been designed in a way that through the expansion and stuff, there was a nice sort of proper power curve that people could appreciate. Now, one of my opinions that I have talking about power creep and stuff, and this might be unpopular, I think the Nax patch and itemization in the Nax patch kind of ruined itemization in WoW. So it gets really bad, and it kind of peaks in Wrath. But throughout all of Burning Crusade, and actually it is all throughout Burning Crusade, but especially it starts in Nax. Nax is like the patch that came out and was like, okay, people are complaining about, oh, why do I have Spirit on my warrior gear? Why do I have this gear? Why do I have that gear? It's not efficient. It's not. So Blizzard took that and they were like, okay, we'll make the gear more efficient. But what ended up happening is they took those itemization points and created the most just insanely efficient suit of armor that anybody could imagine for whatever spec that tier 3 gear was for. So for a paladin, insane holy gear. Like if you're a full tier 3 paladin vanilla, you are a god, a literal god. And same goes for a warrior, in everything, right? Whatever spec it is that you play, like your gear is insane. So with that being said, I feel like they went and they did this thing and it ended up causing this problem over time that ended up making everything hyper optimized. And that I think the culture of MMO players being super min maxi, I kind of think that would have happened anyway to some degree. However, it's kind of exacerbated by the fact that it's so available, you know? Yeah. So what if they add a virtual currency and pay real money for buy? Okay. No. Hold on. Let's talk about the base of the game design. Yeah. Did season 1 end? It did. Oh, by the way, let's just a little bonus. Let's check this out. Let's see the results. I haven't even looked at the board. Yet. Okay. $21, dude, that went up a lot. 21-21. It went up 11 points in the last day. But that's fine. You know why? Because I was over by 26 points. Easy. My guess was 2,300. Actually, let me see if I was right. My guess was 2,300 for 5v5. For 3v3, my guess for 3v3 was going to be 2,500. Oh, 2,463. Man, I was close in threes, and I didn't even play forever. I really want to do more 3s and 5s. And then I tanked my 2s at the end of the season because I was playing for fun after we got safe Glad. But yeah. Congrats on Glad. Thank you. Yeah, we did. We did get Gladiator. So 3-time Burning Crusade Gladiator. Thank you. You 100% made the right call to go on one last arena. I know. You know, remember that? I said we need to play one more. So if you were watching that stream, we got Gladiator on stream and like they did not want to queue. And I was like, guys, trust me. I feel like we have to play one more. And we got that mage cheese team and we just went in and just boom, just cross CC all of them and just one by one, just chop them down. It was so good. Yeah, so good. So I agree with that. Loot, if you're lucky to get one piece of loot in a weekend, sometimes don't get a single. Okay, so yeah, let's go back anyway. Let's kind of deviate back. Okay, I just wanted to kind of brag a little bit about Gladiator number 3. But let's kind of roll it back a little bit. I think there's a lot to talk about with Classic Plus, and I think the discussion of Classic Plus, it has to start with these design principles. So like I said, to kind of rehash, my version of Classic Plus and what Classic Plus is what if Vanilla WoW had never ended? Excuse me. What if Vanilla WoW had never ended? And kind of going with the design principles of what is like a vanilla WoW to Burning Crusade pre-patch. Now, the Burning Crusade pre-patch that we've seen recently is not the same Burning Crusade pre-patch that the original, pre-patch was. Because we went from like patch 1.12 to patch 2.4. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Vanilla WoW wasn't just vanilla and this is the game and then they had different content releases. No, there was constantly changes. There was 11 patches. You started with patch 1.1 in vanilla and then they had itemization changes. They had class balance change. I mean, it was the crux of what legacy servers were and what made people so excited about vanilla and everything was this Blizz-like concept that was created by the Nostalrius team. That was the Nostalrius was the private server that really like launched into the freaking atmosphere the desire for legacy servers, right? And then they got shut down. That was the big thing. And then they gave their code to Elysium, who made a spinoff. Elysium was doing some under the table, taking money, weird stuff. So then Lights Hope came about. White Kidney came in and hijacked the servers and created a new server called Lights. Dude, private server drama is amazing. It's so funny. So anyway, that was kind of like how it all happened. That's how it all went down. And then Elysium people, they went and they eventually made Turtle WoW and all that, right? And then now Turtle WoW is getting sued, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Guys, I think Zaryu is a liar. I don't think Zaryu is at Blizzard. I think he's a liar. Okay. And I don't think they would invite anybody out there ever to do anything. Yeah. So yeah, I think Turtle's getting shut down in a week. So, will Classic Plus be a better continuation of Classic or better as SOD 2.0? I did not like SOD. I don't think SOD. So whenever let's take it a step back. Whenever I talk about like Band-Aid fixes and stuff like that, I think SOD did some things well, but SOD is like the ultimate example of Band-Aid fixes taken to the extreme, where they were like throwing everything at the wall, seeing what sticks. Hey, this isn't good, but then they throw a Band-Aid over it to try and hey, let's just push this thing out there. And I really don't think I think if they design Classic Plus in the same sort of vein that SOD was designed, it'll be a massive failure. I think there's just a lot of problems from a system standpoint. Now, ironically enough, I do think it was like if you play SOD, it's like pressing your buttons is fun. It feels fun, but it doesn't feel like Classic WoW, right? And it's like, does it matter if it feels like Classic WoW if it's fun? Yes and no, actually. There's some argument to be made against that, right? But I think that at its core, like that's what draws people in. You want to hook people in with like the what could be. You want to hook people in with like that sort of nostalgia. However, the good game design, it actually being fun to play, all these things, and it feeling like it's what you expect to play, especially nowadays, man. People want what they know they will like. And people are afraid to try new things. Not everybody, but a lot of people, right? And I would say particularly like an MMO, the MMO audience is very much like that. Everybody is just scratching and clawing and drooling and just frothing at the mouth, wanting a new MMO. But the second they get a new MMO, they hate it. It always happens, right? Now, there's a lot of reasons for this, and sometimes the MMO is just not good, right? It's just the truth. But I think part of the reason is because people just like, they like what they like. It's the same reason why people you know, they have Netflix and they freaking watch Arrested Development 100 times. It's the same reason why, you know, Peacock even exists. If it wasn't for The Office going to Peacock would be dead in the water, right? You know, people they'll just replay. It's the same reason why people watch my stream, okay? It's every single day, it's a rerun, but they're like, look, I don't know, it's comfy. I like having Esfand on the screen. It's the same day. It's the same, you know, no changes, dude. So that's what it is, right? And it's just what it is. Sometimes, you mean most of the time, true. Generalizing on audience versus like, well, I mean, kind of, right? Praying for competitive PvP in some form isn't strictly based on the amount of time you spend playing. So I think there's a lot of misconceptions about vanilla WoW, and that's kind of where it starts. That's why a lot of these discussions and talking about creating Classic Plus and stuff it's why it's very difficult, because these misconceptions like the honor grind is strictly only related to how much time you spend on it, and nothing else. It is heavily that, but the idea that it's nothing else but that is just wrong, right? Now, with that being said, okay, I think I annoy people whenever I talk like this, by the way, and I get that, but it's just I lay out all the facts, I lay out everything that I can think about, and it is what it is. Okay, I'm sorry I don't sensationalize. I'm sorry I don't just freaking get angry at nothing for no reason. I just like to lay it all out there. All right. So yeah, time invested is huge, right? Player agency, time invested. These are all like core principles of an MMO that are really good. And the honor system kind of does that. However, in the original honor system, while it had some problems, okay, while the original honor system had some problems, definitely, even for me, like whenever Classic came out, I was like, yeah, I think you should consider like getting rid of the threshold that you need for decay. Or no, sorry. Let me rephrase that. So the original honor system, I'm not going to turn this into a video explaining the original honor system, so I'm going to try and explain it in 2 sentences. You know how like in arenas you have MMR, you have matchmaking rating that's invisible. In the honor system, you had something invisible called the rank points. So rank points are given to you based off a formula that is determined based on your standing of how much honor you have on the server for a week, okay? And you need to attain a certain amount of rank points in order to go up a certain percentage of rank. And, you need to get a certain amount of rank points in order to go up the ranks. And you need to attain a certain amount of rank points in order to even begin to move the progress bar once you get to a certain rank. I know that's super confusing. The original honor system is not good per se. But it does, it's not strictly time invested. There is like some semblance of skill in there. It's just that you have to really understand like what it is. Like I think they reworked the honor system for SOD and for like Era or for Anniversary. And the way they reworked the honor system is kind of bad. Because the way they reworked the honor system for Anniversary literally is time invested, nothing else, because you had to get 500K honor a week and you're automatically bracket 1 RP. Your bracket 1 rank points. And if you're bracket 1 rank points, you get the maximum amount of increase you can get for every week. And then, yeah, it's as simple as that. So, yes, that is, I think the way they did it in Anniversary is bad. But like half of what they did in Anniversary is something that I actually suggested to them like 7 years ago. You know what else is crazy? 7 years ago, almost on the dot, was I actually flew out to Blizzard for like a secret thing, where I got to see like the classic beta and all this stuff before it was announced, like a week before it was announced, because, and I had just gotten banned on Twitch. I'd gotten banned because I had a ban on YouTube for streaming private servers for 3 months. And then I got banned on Twitch for something I didn't do. But yeah. If you did it, why call Zarya a liar? Because it's funny. I was joking. I was joking. Yeah. But yeah.
Any Twitch primes in the chat?
But yeah. See, the reason why SOD and everyone knew it was coming. I keep my relationships private, okay? But I did not have sexual relationships with Blizzard. Thank you.
Got you.
Joe, thank you for the 1 year. Ginsu Knife, thank you for the 13 months. We can go public if you like. Okay, why am I sweating? Oh, frick. Bro, why was the AC off? No, I don't think it's but yeah. No, I was joking because I said Blizzard would never do that. But I was like working with Blizzard for like months before Classic came out, right? Talking to but the thing is a lot of the people that I used to work with are no longer there. Like I was talking to people from like the Mike Morheim era. Like a lot of guys who are like at like Secret Door and Dreamhaven and those guys now. Like there's a reason why you guys think it's a coincidence that like people just like randomly hit me up about things? Like, do you think it's a coincidence that Jeff Kaplan just randomly came on my stream? I'm like in the cut. You guys realize that? So yeah.
Any gifters wide hard?
Anonymous Arab Habibi with 100 gifted subs. Salam alaikum. Look at that. Any Oilers? Thank you for 100 gifted subs. Habibi. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Thank you. Look, we're cousins. You know, it's my cousin. Dude, anytime anybody from the Middle East, like I see, if I'm like traveling and like I'm in Uber and the guy's like, oh, I'm from, you know, whatever. It doesn't, any Middle Eastern country, right? They could say like, yeah, Afghanistan, it could say Turkey, it could say, you know, Saudi, it could be anywhere. Like, oh, we're cousins, we're neighbors. It's just like all Middle Eastern people I know are like this. It's super funny. Yeah, thank you for 100 gifted, dude.
Any gifters wide?
Whoa, one gifted sub. Fosino, thank you for the one gifted sub. Thank you. Yeah, all family. Yeah, true. All family. Yeah. Oh man. What happened to the dark portal? Oh frick. Wait, I raised it too much. Okay. Kind of redirect the conversation. Sorry, we got a little bit distracted there. On Mother's Day, Esfand calls up mom and says, pay up. Okay. Wait, what the heck? What is going on? So, yeah. Murloc's next race in plus. Do you guys think that they should add... Okay, so sorry. Before we go on, because I don't have a lot of time today. I am very busy the next couple days. I heard you raged at one of my guildies last night. I don't really rage that often. But what was his name? Maybe I did. Like, I think that's unlikely. We're gonna do this today. Cool. The Is that what do you think of Kurds? One of my best friends growing up was Kurdish. Dude, you know who parties? Like, I feel like, okay, so like, you know when you're in Texas and you have Mexican friends and like Mexicans party?
Did this jackass just say he doesn't rage that much? Then explain this. Link.
Buttercup or something, maybe rage was the wrong word. Oh, the priest. No, I didn't rage at him at all. People in chat were saying that his 5v5 arena team, we were doing arenas, and somebody said that
Any gifters wide
like a
hard
handful of
to.
people
Any
in chat were
gifters
saying that
wide
that
hard to.
5v5 arena team was selling a boost to the priest. And then he came in chat and he was like, "What the F? I'm not getting boosted." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I mean, the chat was just saying that." And I was like, I have no idea. Yeah, it's not getting raged. That's not rage.
Force and push the offense backwards a bit. So Charles,
God
oh,
damn it.
so
Fuck! Okay. Does that not Rebel Athlete? That's my visor. What's a coach?
Reese's Cups are the best candy. Nothing else comes close.
Actually, I like Reese's Cups too. Okay. The priest came in his chat and Esfand told that poor guy he'd kiss his dad on the lips. No, I did that anyway. Hype train's still broken? Yeah, it's still, the hype train is still broken. I don't know. Do you think Blizzard will address combat bug in TBC Arena? I basically have no faith that anybody at Blizzard is working on Burning Crusade. And it annoys the hell out of me, and I've talked about it a lot. Because I feel like they just like do things, and I'm like, hello, what are you guys doing here? Why are you guys not doing this? One of the big problems is the MMR problem in arenas. It's kind of killing arenas and making people not want to play. I got screwed over by it at the end of the season. Yeah. Okay, let me guys show you this thing again.
Any gifters wide hard to. Any gifters wide hard to.
Chat, look at this. This is the original 2007 replica statue outside of Blizzard. I gotta find a good place to put this thing in my room. This is the holiday gift for the devs. Explain what's the MMR problem. Like people are playing arenas and then I'm gonna do a separate video about this whenever I'm back in a few days. But it's basically, it has a lot to do with I play people 200 to 300 rating higher than me and they get 10 to 14 points. I'm worse cooked. Well, dude, I was losing 15 points to people like 200 MMR higher than me, and they were gaining points. But then whenever we would queue with people, like we would win a game and we get 0 points. Like I was looking at my arena. Look at this. So we got to like we were almost Gladiator the day before, and then we started queuing, and then look at this: 0 points, 0 points, 0 points, 0 points, -19, -15, 0 point win, -17, 0 point win. And I'm like, bro, what is happening? We randomly had one with 9, and then 0 point, 0 point. So we were like tanking rating while winning more games than losing. I'm gonna keep it I'm gonna keep it like, you know, to one topic today because of I want to keep it to one topic today because of I'm very, very short on time. But I want to do some talk about that later. And like I really think Blizzard needs to fix this. Like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are really upset because Blizzard just seems like they're treating Burning Crusade like an afterthought, and it's kind of like, here you go. We're gonna throw out some bait. We're just gonna give you something to play with until we're ready to put out like a Classic Plus or something, or SOD 2 or whatever. So yeah. One topic keeps talking about everything on the Classic. Yeah, but Crowan, people keep asking me about other stuff, right? So I'm gonna answer. So anyway, let's kind of bring it back a little bit. Okay, let me get back on track because we kind of got off topic for a little bit there. I did want to show off the Gladiator a little bit, but other than that, we kind of got a little bit off topic. So we're gonna get back on topic now. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about, actually, let's pull this guy up. When do the titles go out? Trying to get the right resolution. Yeah, dude, I think getting Glad in 2s would have been way easier, but I didn't have like a partner for it. I didn't have a shaman that knows how to know, like, because I was planning on playing with Killawave, who ended up having to quit the game, and then Settle was planning, like, we kind of all like had people that we were playing with, and then my partner quit, so then I was like scrambling. Yeah. Okay. So, to continue, whenever we talk about like a Classic Plus and what a Classic Plus is, like I think a lot of the design principles of, oh God. The LUA error. It's not letting me click on anything. Whoa, dude, what game is this? Yeah, it's not letting me click on anything. So let me restart here. What's the meaning of life? To talk about classic WoW forever. Okay, so whenever you talk about like what is classic WoW, or sorry, what is classic plus and like what it is, I talked about the starting point already. So there's a lot of like nitty gritty discussion to have about classic WoW and classic plus and all this stuff. And in my opinion, we still have not gotten the best version of classic WoW. Like, I don't think we got the best version of classic WoW that Blizzard could have made in 2019. I feel very, very strongly about that. I think that what we saw from like the kind of design principles and the concept that the Nostalrius team went with, which was adopted by Elysium, by Light's Hope, and kind of it literally changed the entire trajectory of how private servers operated before Classic released, right? I think that was the way to do it, but Blizzard never really did it exactly that way, which is very frustrating to me because I spent a lot of time before Classic launch talking to Blizzard about this, and there's some things that I talked to them about that they did, which is nice. Like originally there was going to only be 4 patches for vanilla. I think they even announced at BlizzCon they only wanted 4 patches, and I was like, I remember like sitting there. I had like I think it was like a 2.5 hour meeting talking to the devs, and I'm like, these are all the reasons why this is a terrible, terrible idea, and it's going to kill the game. Because originally there was 11 patches, right? There was 11 patches. One of the other things was like spell batching. I was never like a huge fan of spell batching, but like the reason why I was a huge fan of spell batching was not because of it existing in general, because a lot of people wanted it. What I was worried about is like, what if we're wrong? What if Blizzard overcompensates? Or what if we are wrong about the spell batch window? Because on private servers, I think we had a 200 millisecond batching window. And in reality, it was 400 milliseconds. And on private servers, it was only in combat. So what Blizzard did, they put it 400 milliseconds and they threw it on the entire game. So looting was lagging. Any sort of interaction with an NPC, you want to buy something off a vendor, it was laggy. Everything was like the whole game just felt kind of laggy. It was kind of stupid, right? As opposed to private servers, which had a 200 millisecond batch only on combat, right? And that's like what a batch is. Batch is a latency buffer to make it to where if some people have worse internet, that there's less of a discrepancy between somebody with good internet and bad internet, which is really good for like, let's say if somebody plays overseas, which on private servers, like we were playing on European servers. So yeah. So that's why like a lot of people now that hate batching, they hate the version of batching that they saw in Classic 2019, which was terrible. It was horrible. Even I wasn't like a big fan of batching before that, but I was like, yeah, if you want to put it in and test it and see how people like it, that'd be fine. And I think that's what they should have done in the beta. However, they were like, well, you know, people keep saying no changes. People keep saying no changes. And I'm like, guys, you have to account for the times. There was a video that I put out before Classic came out that I was really kind of like, I felt very strongly about this. You have to account for the times, and you have to realize that no changes is not a real thing. People don't really know, or people don't really even remember what was going on in vanilla. What people do know, what people do remember is what they saw on private servers recently. What people do know is kind of how they felt. And my big argument, you can go back to this video. Classic WoW needs changes. It was either might need changes or needs change. I forgot what the title is, but you can go back and look at this video from years ago. And I talk about all this stuff. And I'm like, the feeling of authenticity is so much more important than factual authenticity, because nobody knows how much armor this random gorilla outside of Gurubashi Arena had. Nobody knows that. Okay? Nobody has any idea. So it doesn't. That stuff doesn't matter. Factual authenticity doesn't matter. What matters is that people feel like they're playing the game that they grew up and they loved and all that stuff. Okay, 5-star pack knows, but everybody else, nobody else knows, right? So that's the thing. Yeah, you have to capture the experience. Actually, on my Mangos core, yeah, exactly. You know, I met one of the guys that made Mangos. That's like. Just randomly. He works at Amazon now, and he wouldn't tell me what his name is because he was like scared. But he was like, "You're Esfand, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I worked on Mangos." And I was like, "What?" And this was like a year after I had started streaming, and I was like, "This is because I was like, it was actually kind of crazy." Yeah, he was hanging out with Raj Patel actually. Yeah. But look, before we get into the nitty gritty, I want to make a series of videos talking more about the nitty gritty of the design principles of this. I'm talking about like the talents and kind of what the game is and everything. But I think where you really have to start, what you really have to talk about is what you want to see in Classic Plus content wise. If you're talking about vanilla forever, level 60 forever, and you're looking at the design principles of like, hey, it's Burning Crusade pre-patch, but the Dark Portal never opened. Okay. That's my sort of vision for Classic Plus. That's what I want. Okay. Well, what else happens? There's so much stuff here. And yeah, I know Turtle WoW did a lot of good things, right? And I don't think everything that Turtle did is feasible or even makes sense, but like I think there is some good ideas that you could pull from it, right? If I do think it's wise to look at what other things have worked from a community standpoint and see how you can make it apply or maybe something similar, okay? But like, even here, right? Like Hyjal is in the game, right? Hyjal is in the game on the map. There's stuff that you can do in Ashara, right? Wait, do I really have this corner of Ashara discovered on this character? It's crazy. But like there's stuff that you can do in Ashara, right? Hyjal is literally right here, okay? It's right under Winterspring. Okay, you can actually glitch into Hyjal. You can go here, and it's the geography is all there in vanilla. They had all of it. There's just so much that you can do. You know, you can go here, and then you have Grim Batol. Oh, I'm too big. You can't really see the Batol. Here, let me make sure you guys can see the Batol. But you have Grim Batol right here, right? Like these are all things that they actually ended up putting in the game later on, and like Cataclysm, they like kind of resurfaced. They redid the whole world and they added a bunch of different things that like they originally wanted to put in and never put in. We actually talked to Jeff Kaplan about this a little bit, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I mean these were all things that were like all a part of the drawing board, but then you know it's over time. It's like, oh well, this gets put in this expansion, this gets put in that expansion, but you can see it all there." This is the Greymane Wall. It's even named. You can scroll over it, and at the top of the screen, you say Greymane Wall. This is where the Worgans are in Cataclysm, right? This is where they come from. So all these things are there. If you go into, if you go here into Hillsbrad, you go into Alterac, Dalaran, right? Dalaran is right here. And then eventually Dalaran, it's protected by the arcane mages, but it gets, you know, lifted up into the sky, and then they take it into Northrend and all that stuff, right? So I think there's a lot of different stuff that you can do within the scope of Classic WoW as it is, and unlock these areas and add content with like more of a horizontal progression. But not only that, again, I'm going to save some of the nitty gritty, but I talked about how the Naxx patch I think was really bad for the future of WoW. I actually think they need to do a rebalancing of the itemization, not to make things better, but to make things a little bit worse and to break down this power creep. Because if you want to have a more horizontal progression, I think the absolute best patch, and it's arguable between these two, but 1.6 was Blackwing Lair, 1.7 was Zul'Gurub, right? If you talk to most of the like vanilla WoW enthusiasts, almost everybody will tell you either one of those two patches is the absolute best patch for itemization. Now you can make some arguments about like, you know, they did some things to pull some things up in 1.10 and in 1.9 they did some reworks and they added an AQ. But at that point, everything is already scaled out of control. So that ZG patch, that BWL patch, the itemization is amazing. Like vanilla actually peaks in that area of the patch progression because the itemization is so good. There's things that you can do creative, kind of like weird. What the? People still play this game? Oh, what rings you got, bitch? Wait, what spec am I? Dude, you're using a FAP? Slash cast turn undead. Oh no, it's a demon. I'm in freaking Burning Crusade mode. This guy freaking fapped all over me. I can't kill this guy. This guy's got full consumes. I'm freaking washed. I don't even have my keybinds. I don't even have a trinket on, man. I'm so dead right here. I'm freaking whatever. Jackass. All right. This guy freaking, or swing time. I have no add-ons, no nothing. None of my I'm having to click my grenade. I got nothing. I have nothing. So anyway. Jackass. Okay. Anyway. It's just almost killed him. Yeah, well. I mean, I wouldn't, in a fair fight, I won't win that anyway. But still. The Warlock has been waiting years for someone to log in. True. Nice green screen. Thank you. Mom, look, I'm on TV. True. Defending his arena master. Yeah, true. Anyway, where was I? I was talking about the different places they could open up. Yeah, so talking about like these different places they could open up. Like one of the things that I would really like to see. One of the things that I would really like to see is like, what if they opened up, like they unlocked Dalaran? I think they should add like new quest hubs, right? So like if they unlocked Dalaran and they made Dalaran like a quest hub that could be here, like closer to this horde side. And I know that's really, really close to Undercity and it might get terrorized. But on that same front, I think if they added like a horde quest hub here on this side, near Grim Batol, and they opened up Grim Batol as like a dungeon or a raid or something like that, I think could be really cool. There's so many different things they could do, man. If you go here, you go over here to Oldham, right? Oldham is in the game. And there's an awesome quest chain. Like it's so lore heavy. If you go into the Blasted Lands, or sorry, you go into the Badlands and you go to Oldham, right? Oldham, you do the Oldham quest chain. It's like an insane lore dump of like the history of the dwarves and everything that the dwarves are about and how like the Azeroth was created and all that. And then it leads you to Oldham and then it just kind of dies. It just kind of ends. And I think if they were to expand on these kinds of things, I think it would be super cool. Something that I think is a little bit less cool, but still cool. Another example of something that's a little bit less cool, but still cool. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Timbermaw Hold right here, right? Going into Winterspring. Okay. Still kind of cool, right? But that's a whole nother area, right? Timbermaw Hold is like, maybe there's something there. I think Turtle WoW did something with Timbermaw Hold, right? So like some people are kind of intrigued by that idea. But there's like a lot of areas out in the world that there's just so much more that could be done there. Even some of these like off islands, like Isle of Dread, like there's like, this is like for like one quest chain. Maybe there's something else that could be done there. There's just so much map. Alcaz Island. Wait, how do I not have Alcaz? Okay, this character is bugged. Because didn't I have to discover Alcaz Island for Scarab Lord? Wasn't that part of the Scarab Lord quest chain? Yeah, we did a whole thing there. Underneath the cemetery in Duskwood. Yeah, I mean, well, I will say this. So I harp on like, I don't want to like leave too much of a bad taste in people's mouth about like how I feel about SOD. I think SOD had a lot of problems, but I do think they did a lot of things well. And one of the things that they did do well was Karazhan Crypts. I think Karazhan Crypts was a great example. By the way, you know, I skipped over Karazhan. Karazhan is in the game. Karazhan is in the game in vanilla. The tower is there. Maybe there's something to be done with Karazhan. Maybe, I mean, Karazhan, if you just look at it, it's so big. This thing is not meant to be a 10-man raid. It's basically like, it's like they sized it for like a 40-man raid. You know what I mean? Like, I think Karazhan Crypts needs some work. But like, for what they did with it and for the little resources that the Blizzard had given the Classic team, I think they did a pretty good job. It was still cool, design-wise. Now, I just touched on something that I think is the crux of the entire issue with Classic Plus, with Blizzard, with everything. And it's resources, and it's the allocation of those resources. I don't think... It feels like Blizzard does not support the Classic team enough. And maybe it's not even fair to say Blizzard, because, you know, the freaking Microsofts and the Activisions and, you know, the overlords, right? Over the years, I feel like have just kind of like beaten the soul out of so many things. And it's really, really frustrating to see, because especially when you get a chance to like meet some of these devs and to talk to these people, and you know how passionate these guys are. And even if you disagree with them on some things, like, for example, like I said, I harp on SOD a lot, and like SOD is kind of like Agren's baby, right? But I think Agren is great. I've had the chance to talk to Agren a bunch of times. He's a wonderful person to talk to. He actually I'm a stupid MMO player who thinks the devs are idiots and don't know anything about their own game. Okay, like most of us. But then you talk to these people and you're like, oh wait, okay, like they do get it. But then it's like, well, who here is freaking making the call to not let certain things happen, or to not make certain things able to happen, right? I'm starting to frustrate myself talking about this a little bit, because it is frustrating sometimes whenever you talk to these people and you feel like everybody agrees with what you're saying, and you're saying the same things that like the community feels. And then it's like, it's very frustrating, man. It's very frustrating. But I'm hoping that at some point, somewhere, you know, in their freaking ivory tower, they're like, okay, you know, maybe we'll actually do something here that works. Because I do think sometimes it just almost even feels like there's like, you know, whenever they don't say anything, you're talking to somebody and they're not saying what they want to say, but you can feel what they want to say. And it's like, and I just hope that if they really do actually want to do a Classic Plus, that it has a proper investment and care, and the MMO an MMO is a living, breathing world that has to be taken care of very, very carefully. Very carefully. And you have to be very quick with whenever you want to add things, whenever you remove things, whenever you want to change things, whenever you see something is getting out of control. You got to stop the bots, okay? The botting is insane. Like, but a lot of this stuff is like, it's been done with. I mean, like, for years, Blizzard, they had game masters that you talk to an actual person. You had people sitting there just, you know, pew, 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 like popping freaking bots off and banning people, right? But then what happens is they get acquired by Activision, and then freaking, you know, Deep Pockets Bobby comes in and he's like, okay, yeah, we're going to get rid of all these people. We don't need any of this. Why do we have any of this? We can automate this system. We can do this. We can do that, right? Oh, there's bots. Why don't we get bots? And then, so it's like a lot of like those original sort of like principles that are put in from like some of the old guys. And I think this is like an annoying thing. I bet if you currently work at Blizzard, it's probably like an annoying thing to hear, because it's probably always, it kind of gets obnoxious when you're like, oh, it used to be like this. Oh, it used to be like this. But the fact of the matter is this is just kind of how people feel, right? And the other fact of the matter is that it's not like that anymore. The bad man is gone. The bad man is gone. Even that interview with Lex Friedman, Jeff Kaplan was talking about that guy who was like, okay, well, Jeff is here talking about like the future of Overwatch and like what the long-term plan is. And he's like, yeah, whatever, buddy. is this going to make us X amount of money next year? And it's like, how can you predict that? There's no way that you can predict that. That guy's gone too, by the way, right? A lot of those people are gone. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the old people that were good are also gone. In fact, most of them are gone, right? Like the Jeff Kaplans and the Mike Morheims and these people, right? Even the people that made Classic 2019, a lot of those people are unfortunately gone now. But that doesn't mean that there's not other good people that are currently working at Blizzard and currently working on the game that care a lot about Classic. And I do think that's really important that they care about Classic, right? They want to, I think if you're working on the Classic team and if you're working on Classic WoW, you need to live, breathe, freaking shit, piss, freaking, if you can do it, it needs to be Classic, okay? I feel like if you're working on an MMO, it kind of needs to be like, that is what you do. And I understand work-life balance, but I completely disagree with it. I just feel like if you're working on an MMO, like, that is it, man. Like, an MMO is not a 9 to 5. No dev is as addicted to WoW as you are. Do you want to know? Okay, can I tell you guys something? The last time I went to Blizzard, I had somebody who's worked at Blizzard for about 20 years, okay? Somebody who's worked at Blizzard for about 20 years in front of a group of people who also work at Blizzard and stuff said, I love when Esfand is here on campus. He's like, you know why I love when Esfand is here on campus? I don't even agree with him, obviously, but it boosted my ego through the roof. And he goes, I love when Esfand is here on campus because he knows more about this game than anybody else in this room. I'm like, okay, no, you're gonna make everybody hate me. Stop. He's like, he knows way more about this game than the rest of it. And I'm like, damn, nobody knows a damn thing about this game then. But yeah, no, it's like, yeah. Yeah, so then my ego went up through the roof. Yeah, and then I drove off in my Rolls Royce and I put my sunglasses on, smoking a cigar. So, yeah. Chat, the end user will typically know more about software than the people who develop it. That's actually true. If you've ever worked in like any sort of like game dev or software development, like, you know that like the people that know the most about the game aren't always the people that make the game, because the people that make the game, they're like making the base of the tree and they're building this tree up, right? But then they don't know whenever they build this up what happens, and like whenever you have all the different branches, right? Like you have like the roots and everything, the trunk, but then what happens when you get to the leaves and the branches and all this other stuff? It's like you get so far away from where they're working on that, oh wait, I didn't know that happened over there. That's why you have bugs, right? That's why you're like, oh, this thing is overpowered. We didn't think that was going to happen, but the player base finds that out, you know? So that's not really like a, it's like a funny thing to say, but it's not like a weird thing, you know? I miss being excited about WoW. I mean, look, the bottom line is like, I hope that Classic Plus is good. I hope that they actually do a Classic Plus. I hope that it's good. I hope that it's not some kind of like bastardization of like, they're taking retail WoW and they're trying to make one game for everybody. No, it needs to be a classic MMO with classic MMO design principles. It needs to be vanilla. It needs to be Burning Crusade, that sort of era. Okay, what if vanilla WoW never ended? What if level 60 WoW never ended? I think you need to rebalance the itemization to fix the power creep that happens from the AQ40 into the Nax patch and kind of like ruins it. And you have a horizontal progression. You add new content. You add Grim Batol. Do something with Karazhan. Add in Hyjal. Maybe Timbermaw Hold. Throw in Dalaran, the Greymane Wall, right? You have the Greymane Wall and freaking Worgen starting zone, Gilneas, right? You have the Greymane Wall, you have Gilneas. You add all these different things in. Hell, you could even go in. You can do some stuff with the High Elves, right? You might even be able to do something with Silvermoon, right? Some Burning Crusade things, right? Like I mentioned Karazhan already, right? Hell, what SOD did with Scarlet Enclave was incredibly creative. You know, they took the whole area that they added with Wrath of the Lich King, and they were like, okay, wait a second. By the way, that was an insane technical advancement for the game that I don't know if people really realize how big of a deal Scarlet Enclave really was and how big of a deal the expansion on Tyr's Hand was. Because Scarlet Enclave is one thing, but the expansion on Tyr's Hand was an insane technical advancement in WoW that is like, wait a second, we can take the WoW map and we can add, like the way that they do their servers and everything, the way that the fact that they could go and add and like basically like copy or like just attach two parts of another different expansion entirely together is kind of insane. Because I'll tell you firsthand, they did not think they could do that years ago. And I've been told that from people who used to work at Blizzard a long time ago. So yeah. I think Blizzard is capable to make a good Classic Plus, but they'll ruin it with the whole egregious microtransaction store bullshit. I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know if they would. I mean, maybe they will do some kind of microtransactions because freaking Daddy Microsoft or Daddy Activision or whoever comes in. I don't even know who's the boss anymore. But yeah, I definitely think I have a lot of hopes, a lot of high hopes for Classic Plus, and I really hope Blizzard delivers. And I think it'll be a fun thing to do on stream where we go through and kind of talk about the design of Classic Plus over the course of maybe the next few weeks or some period of time. I have a tool that I'm working on to like make talent trees. I do think there needs to be some kind of rework of talent trees going into Classic Plus from vanilla that draws a lot of inspiration from Burning Crusade. In fact, I think if you were to take the Burning Crusade talent trees and then mash them down into what is essentially like the level 60 version, like a scaled down level 60 version of the 41 point talent trees, would be pretty cool. So yeah, is Classic Plus even confirmed? No, but it's like a fun thing to talk about. I also think transmog is a huge L. I think if they add transmog, I think it'll turn a lot of people off because when I talk about the design principles of classic WoW, that is like a core thing. Like transmog is not classic. It is not a classic MMO type of thing. I think it is an insane L to have transmog in Classic Plus if they have it. If that's what they decide to do, or like, I don't think they should be using retail models. I don't think they should be doing transmog. It needs to be a distinct different. There needs to be a distinct difference between what Classic Plus is and what retail WoW is. I like Soda's take that you only have tabards or cloaks for transmog. I mean, if even, right? Like a tabard, I think a tabard is kind of like whatever, right? Like I don't really care about that. But then there's like the whole like slippery slope concept, right? But the thing is like tabards don't give you stats. Cloaks give you stats. And one of the main things about transmog with the gear and the stats is you see gear that you know that type of player. So like if you're in PvP, or you can eyeball test people, whereas you can't really do that with transmog. And it just makes the whole game weird, right? Now, I don't really care about tabards as much because my argument against transmog doesn't apply to tabards. So I can't. I feel like if I'm going to argue against something, it needs to be based in logic, and I need to have like a specific reason for it. And sometimes that reason might be as simple as I just don't like it, and that's kind of a stupid reason, right? But I think that most of the time, whenever I'm arguing against or for something, there needs to be some kind of logic behind it. Yeah, we call targets in arena like 90% based on how he looks geared. Sometimes, yeah. Everyone goes by WoW, so everyone looks exactly the same as boring. No, because not everybody has all the same exact pieces of gear. So, anyways, chat, I'm running late. I have some things I have to do. I'm very busy over the course of the next few days. I'm a businessman, and a businessman is a very busy man. So I have to go do some things. I'm working on some stuff with Starforge, and some cool things with Starforge are coming up. And I'm also doing a lot more things. So yeah, are you coming to raid tonight? No, I will not be. I'm gonna be raiding on Saturday. Oh wait, hey, we need to talk about Tuesday night raids for next week because we have Thursday night launch. I hate that Blizzard launches on Thursday. Actually, like so much. I hate that Blizzard launches on Thursday. So, yeah. But yeah. Starforge, aka going to Blizzard, talk about guys. I'm not going to